Okay, can anyone see my screen? Yes, awesome. Okay, great. Yeah, so this is the, I want to make sure, first of all, you're at the right place. This is the 1 week AI summer camp info session, okay? All right, so today's agenda, very simple, okay? We're going to talk about AI camp. We're going to talk about, what an AI camp is, how we started, why we started this whole thing. Second is we're going to talk about the 1 week summer AI camp. We will tell you what kind of things you will learn, from this experience, why it's important to learn from this experience. And we also have a few students who participate our 1 week camp during the winter, and they're here to share their experience as well. So thank you for doing that. I think we have, how many of you actually were our previous students? So I know Andy is, and who else is? Okay, so we're gonna wait until, I'm gonna go through the presentation and you can share your experiences later, okay? Awesome. We also have a technology internship program called Team Tomorrow. So this is where, we have middle and high school students actually, start working for technology companies. So we'll tell you what the program is and how you're going to join, and finally a Q&A. Okay. All right. So just very brief introduction about myself. So my name is Michael, and I'm one of the founders and instructors at AI Camp. So I started this whole thing back in 2019, and that's when I had a gap in my job, and I was like, maybe I can do a summer camp. I put a website together, and all of a sudden 6 students showed up, and we basically taught them about AI during that summer. But fast forward this year, AI Camp is teaching thousands of students across the nation, sometimes across the world, and we're having a blast just teaching young students about AI, but also just being thoroughly amazed and astonished sometimes, by their abilities and their growth trajectories. So we're going to talk more about that. Yeah, so this map here is actually showing you different county boundaries of where people are visiting from AI Camp. So this is a form of data visualization, right? As you can see, and you can see that the darker these colors are, the more people there are from actually that county to visit AI Camp. Yeah. So as I said, AI Camp is founded by Stanford PhDs, and this summer we have thousands of students learning from us, and we have lots of instructors coming from top universities such as Stanford, UCLA, MIT, right, UPenn, Carnegie Mellon, to teach for our students. So we're very excited about the summer. Okay. Right. By the way, at AI Camp, there's one rule, okay, that is there are no stupid questions. So at any time, if you have a question, you can simply raise your hand, or you can just ask, and I'd be happy to assist you. And once again, if you just joined, like right now, please turn on your camera, because if you want to learn at AI Camp, you really have to get used to it. Like we basically ask our students to turn on their camera, speak whenever they want. So it's a very interactive session. However, if you just want to sit, through the summer, you can, but that won't be fun for you. And I don't recommend AI Camp. Yeah. Okay. All right. So AI Camp is brought together by top AI practitioners. So we have an advisor who's at Stanford as a professor. We have also a few CTOs who are running technology companies. Some of them are public companies and billion-dollar companies. They're here to, for AI Camp and for you guys. And what we really care about is to bring our deep knowledge in the industry to the students, because we think there's a gap between our schools and our industries, and we're here to bridge the gap in between. Yeah. Okay. All right, so I got a few questions for you, okay? So do you think AI has already changed our lives? What do you think? What do you think, guys? Please, guys, turn your camera because I don't even know like who's raising their hand. Stacy, yeah, can you talk about it?
Yeah, I think AI has changed our lives in the past years. We've been seeing a lot of like different uses of it. I can't really describe anything at the top of my head. All I've been thinking about lately has been like algorithms and how they apply to like social media.
Right. That's a good one, right?
Yeah.
So raise of hand, right now I can see only 3 of you, but you can also, put an icon in your chat, or you can type in the chat. How many of you actually watch YouTube like every day? Like I am definitely doing that. Stacy's doing that. Chris is a good one. Chris does that as well. Okay. All right. So everyone does that. So why do you think, for example, we watch YouTube every day?
I'd say the algorithm, like how YouTube tries to like cater specific videos to you.
Exactly, right?
Just from like what you've watched in the past.
Yeah, exactly, right? So that's a form of AI itself, correct? All right. So my second question is, all right, so you think, for example, AI was able, or these algorithms are able to do that, but then other than algorithms, what else, like AI needs in order for it to, really know your habits and what videos you like, other than the algorithm? What do you think? Anyone? Come on, guys. I won't proceed unless you answer my questions. Chris, what about you, man?
Coding or perhaps human like interactions, because like it needs a person to click on the videos for the algorithm to work.
Right. So I think what Chris is alluding to is that it also needs data, right? Because it needs, for example, like the data of like you watching a few videos or you indicating your preferences, and then the AI knows like what kind of videos it will recommend. At the same time, it needs to have a vast library of videos. Otherwise, you won't be able to do that, right? So here is the key, right, to any AI. As a matter of fact, right now, for any AI to work, we're looking at vast amount of data set. So this 1 week camp, if I want you to bring something home today, right, is you need to be able to know how to process vast amount of data. That's it. Okay, how to process vast amount of data. So this 1 week camp is literally just like giving you this, first experience in how to learn Python and how to deal with vast amount of data. That's it. Okay, and that's the first step. Okay, so here I'm going to give you a few examples like why AI has already changed our lives. What's showing here is actually a 3-dimensional structure of proteins, right? So proteins are fundamental blocks of life, and for the longest time, we can sequence the genome, right? Even though that's like very expensive, like project, maybe 20 years ago, it takes, billions of dollars to sequence like one person's like genome. Right now, we're reducing that, down to a few $1,000s. And so that we know, for example, what consists like a protein structure, right? Like we know the sequence of amino acids, but knowing those sequences, right? Like you don't know, for example, how those amino acids, given their, a physical structure, their interactions, how they're going to flow together into these crazy, 3-dimensional structure, which are essentially, the reasons why we are here today. So for the longest time, like we couldn't really figure out this. And it's only recently, so what you're seeing here, the green stuff is the actual protein shape coming from experiments, X-ray diffractions. And then the the blue stuff is from the computational prediction. So this is literally after the AI was looking at hundreds, thousands of these predictions. I mean, hundreds of thousands of these experimental results, and then given a sequence, it can predict the structure. Guys, I don't know if you understand how significant this is. This is really AI unlock how life is going to work. Like, one of the reasons why we can do these, we have to do these online sessions is because of COVID-19, correct? Right, it's because of COVID-19. And the reason why COVID-19, virus, has such a strong, can propagate from one person to another is because these crown proteins can really attach our cells really, really well. And that's because of structure. So if we know it's structure, we can come with drugs that will block it, right? So this is essentially like why this finding here, you probably never heard about it, but this will essentially literally save probably billions of lives down the road. And you know what? This just comes up a few years ago. So I'm basically like I would say like your generation is really at an amazing juncture. This is really like when we start seeing AI has been used in very interesting and impactful cases, right? So learning about it, is super interesting. Okay, so I don't know how well I'm doing. Okay, so can you give me a thumbs up, or thumbs middle, or thumbs down, like about this presentation so far? If you learn anything, if you found it's interesting, give me a thumbs up. If you're like, hey, Michael, maybe speed up a little bit, I can do that too. Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna keep it the pace. Okay, sounds good? All right, okay, cool. The other example, that I constantly give, and I think, this is probably more relatable, is that we know these self-driving vehicles are on the road. If you're in San Francisco, if you're Arizona, you probably saw those vehicles going around. And so my question, for you is, do you think these self-driving vehicles will be there in the next 5 years? Will you, the next 5 years, or are you gonna use it? Maybe 5 years? Raise your hand if you think so. Okay, we have a few people who are doubting it. Okay, what about for the next 10 years? In the next 10 years, okay, 15, 20. How about for the next 30 years? Okay, I think at this point, you got my point, right? That is, by the time I said like 20 years or so, everyone's sort of like raising your hand. And I think you're right. Like when you think about 20 years ago, we just barely had the internet. Oh my gosh, right? And then, we had the iPhone maybe 2006, 2007, right? And then, the deep neural net is not coming out until 2012. And you guys heard about the Bitcoin and stuff like that, right? So crypto coming out like 2013, somewhere there. And it's only flourished like maybe 10 years later. And then when you think about AI, it really permeated, to all aspects of our lives, in the last maybe 10 years or so. And I can't imagine what the next 20 years is going to become. And if you think, for example, self-driving vehicle will come out in the next 20 years, do you think there's a stop of these AI stuff? You think they're only going to stop at transportation? Right? What about art? What about writing? I mean, how about just, I don't know, manufacturing stuff? Right? So these things will come, okay? So my point is, I think AI-powered automation is coming, right? I'm not talking about, for example, AI will replace humans. Chris, I think you worry about AI replacing humans. I think that's gonna take some time. Yeah, but automation, I think, will come. And that's gonna free people from doing a lot of dangerous or repetitive like work. And it's gonna come in a lifetime, right? Because if just like 20 years or, like in 20 years of time, like self-driving vehicle will be there, then you guys are like what, less than 40-year old, right? You're like 30 something, right? So yeah. Okay, let me ask you a question. Is there like any technology or any scenario you'd be like, I just want an AI to have it, an AI do it, so I don't have to do it? Is there anything like that for you guys? If so, what would that be?
I would say that for me, it's really, it's it takes a lot of my time when I try to organize my things.
Mhm.
So I would like to have like an AI do that for me by knowing which things I want to be organized.
Right. Are you saying like you would have some AI cleaning bots and just go to your room and clean up everything?
More like organizing or just knowing, for example, which papers I want to be thrown to the
Okay.
trash or which ones I want to keep.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That could be like an AI assistant. Okay. Anyone else want to share your imagination?
I
What would
guess
it be?
writing could be something for me.
Say it again.
Writing, something
Writing?
like writing.
Right. So so our 3-week course, we actually created something, using AI models. You can have the AI to read Lord of the Ring, the entire book, like 3 books, and then you can write something. The AI will autocomplete, essentially in a Lord of the Ring style. Yeah, that's just the baby, like implementation of how AI can write stuff. But I do think, if we can get hold of like all the college application essays and the ones that who got into top colleges, I bet these AI can write like really good essays, can fool a lot of admission officers. Anyway, I think that would be a pretty cool thing to build. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a live demo. This is a showcase, essentially, what people were able to create during the 1-week course at AI Camp. So this is the dashboard. This is global warming and its effects. I don't know if, Andy, did you create this one? Or anyone who are here create this one?
This wasn't one that I created.
Say it again.
This wasn't one that I created. This was someone else.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just going to showcase this, but what this was trying to explore, right, is to explain how global warming affected multiple areas of life, such as, forest fire or CO2 emission, right, or temperature increase. And all these, little graphs, they're called data visualization. They're essentially trying to present how these data are coming together. For example, this is you're looking at a 3D chart like this, right? To explore. This is just beautiful thing. Unfortunately, I don't have the context to know each graph what they do, but I thought they just like incredible, like to look at it, to see how things are coming together. It's really remarkable. Yeah. So what this does is basically using graphs to tell stories yeah. So this is essentially telling stories using data by data visualization. Yeah. Okay. And I can also look at the source code. Okay, so this is the source code. Anybody recognize what language this is?
Is it Python?
It's Python, yes. Who was that?
Vanch.
Vanch, nice to meet you. Yeah.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, and you can see definition of different, functions, right? And by the way, this whole thing here, right? This whole thing here, from collecting the data. And by the way, right? So this has to look at lots of data. So let's look at some data. For example, there are these data set. I think maybe global warming interest by city, right? So look at these data. when you look at this data, you can't actually tell much a story, but once you put in graphs, you can, right? Yeah, so there are these vast amount of data you have to collect, and then you have to present. Think about a data dashboard, think about how to make that, and gradually make something as cool as this. Yeah, okay. All right, so maybe the reason you're gonna ask is like, why do I need to make a data dashboard? I'm here to learn about AI, right? But AI, without data, as we just illustrated, like YouTube won't be able to figure out what you're gonna like unless it knows billions of users, like what they like, what they watch, right? And find similarity between you and others, and maybe they can recommend different videos to you. So this underlying foundation here for AI is that you need a vast amount of data. You need to process data. It's almost like before you can become, I don't know, like compete in the Olympics, for triathlon, you have to first learn how to ride a bike, right? So be able to process vast amount of data. That's the first thing you need. The skills you need. And I think the second thing here, I think is very underappreciated, is how do we use data to make really, really important decisions? Let me ask you a question. Like, how many of you like wondered, what are you going to do in the future? Have you ever wondered what are you going to do in the future? Raise your hand if you have, right? Okay, we have a lot of people raise your hand. Okay, good. So for an important question like that, a lot of times, I just hear people like saying, you know what, I'm going to think about it, right? But I can tell you, think about it won't be able to help you to solve this problem. What you have to do is actually collect data, right, to make such important decisions. And you'd be like, hey, what kind of data, Michael, should I collect? Well, there are different categories of data you can think of. Maybe we can pause this for a second, let's just say we're going to figure out what are we going to do, when we graduate from college, right? Or maybe it's like, what should I major in college? Can someone tell me maybe what kind of data should we collect?
What type of subjects you like in high school?
The subject you like in high school, yes. What else?
Your grades and overall like performance in those subjects.
Your grades, your performance, yes, right? You have to do something you're good at, maybe, yeah. What else?
Any hobbies or passions you might have?
Hobbies and passions, yes, yeah. Yeah, as I said, like if I'm excited getting up every day to do this, yeah, I should do it. What else?
The difficulty.
The difficulty. What else? Maybe to look at the jobs, so look at how much it will pay. That's pretty important too. Okay, what else? Like how much education it requires, right? Like to be a doctor, how many years of education you need? It's like forever, right? Okay, so you can see essentially those are the data to collect. And one of the most important data, guys, don't forget, you try it, you know it, right? You try something, maybe you'll know it. So again, right, when you look at, for example, that's just one decision in your life, right? You have to use data to make decisions. Now, there are so many important questions in life. You probably have to make decisions. How do you objectively, right, to make those decisions? Using data, to me, is the only way to go about it. Even your intuition is for you to synthesize all your past events, and you make an intuitive decision. That's essentially use data to make a decision. Okay, so don't make decisions by hunch. You're either lucky or you're wrong, right? So that's risky. Don't do that. Okay. Okay, so we have a Michelle here. She's going to share her experience learning at AI Camp. I thought this is an incredible video. I'm going to play it. But we also have a few folks here who learned at AI Camp, and we're going to invite them to speak. But we're just going to hear this. We're just going to watch this for like 1 minute. Hold on, let me get that video. And let me share my sound. Okay, give me a thumbs up, if you can hear it clearly, okay?
Hi, my name is Michelle, and I am one of the students at the
Awesome.
AI Winter Camp, and I definitely recommend this program for anyone who wants an introduction into AI or into Python. So I was in the beginner level group because I didn't know a lot of Python. There was only around 6 people in my group. It was very personal and very one-on-one, and my instructor was super patient and understanding with us. He kind of let us go off on our own. We were able to explore things and research things on our own, but whenever we had any questions, he would help guide us along the way, and he adjusted to our circumstances really well. Apart from the actual camp itself, the connections that you make afterward are really beneficial. The Discord community is just so genuine. People are always sending school resources, AI news, AI videos, educational resources, and it's just a really great community of people. And because of this camp, I got really interested into AI and I applied for a summer program. So over the summer, I will be attending Carnegie Mellon for around a month and learning a little bit more about AI. And I don't think I would have even thought about this opportunity had it not been for this camp. So I definitely recommend anyone to try it out, even if you're a beginner, even if you don't know anything, because it's a really cool experience and the connections you make afterward are amazing. Yeah, thank you.
I think this is well said. I think we need to thank Michelle for this. Okay, but we also have like Andy here. I think we also have like a few others, who joined us, this past winter. I don't know, like Andy, can you talk a little bit about like what you learned in the camp? Like what are your, overall like experiences?
Yeah, so I learned a lot about like how people would visualize data using Python, which was something I never really like thought of before because I've been used to like JavaScript, and that's something that I've done like many different things compared to what I've experienced here.
Mhm.
And it just gave me a new perspective on what you can really do with coding if you put your mind to it.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Andy. So Jana, I think you also participated in the winter, right? Yeah.
Yes, I
Can you,
participated in the winter camp. Yeah.
who was your instructor?
My instructor was Cameron. I was in
Cameron.
the group that created the
The planets?
style GAN. Yeah, the planets.
Oh my gosh. Can you talk a bit about, what is it like learning from Cameron and what your project is? And, like, was that fun,
Yeah. So I was part of the group that was doing like we already had a little bit of Python experience. So we decided to build a style GAN AI, and we created one that would create its own fantasy planets. So we basically fed the AI a bunch of pictures of planets and stars. And for our data set, something I learned that was really valuable was when we were like looking through all the data and cleaning all the data, we had like a couple of trial and errors. Like the first time we tried mainly stars, so a lot of our output was just looking like stars, but we wanted more fun, so we used like planets from Star Trek, from Star Wars, and then like other planets released by NASA, and that
Right.
gave the planets more of that like structure and
Right.
fantasy look, and it was so cool to like see that output there. It
That's
was so
awesome.
fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you remember what a GAN is?
Yeah, I have like a pretty good understanding of it again now. I don't think I would have ever been able to have like I don't think I would have ever attempted to create like
Right.
again on my own,
Right. That would be
Yeah,
too
having
complicated, right? So the
yeah.
other thing I want to ask you, and Andy, and I think Ariana, you also like participate our camp as well. Uh, can you talk about? I know the camp experience was very short; it's only 1 week, But did this like change the way you learn things? Were you able to like create, maybe new things afterwards? Did that do anything? I'm kind of curious. Yeah.
Yeah. I can go on this one first.
Yeah.
I think 1 week I thought would be really short, but it it was done so efficiently, and I was able to work like throughout the whole thing. Just like it was very structured learning. So I think 1 week was definitely very like standard good amount of time. And we also, it really inspired me to look more into AI specifically, because previously all of my like coding experience was just coding. It wasn't like anything that delved into AI. But
Yeah.
now I have that like more interest into looking into AI because I see how powerful it is.
Right. It sounds like you're also like not afraid of learning these complicated or quote unquote complicated things anymore, right? You're like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. I did GAN. I can do everything else.
Yeah, like the first time you look at all that code for again, you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God. I mean, code always looks intimidating when
Right.
you look at it, but if you're involved in the process, then you know what's up and you know how it works.
Right. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Ariana, can you share about your experiences? Anything that you resonate, anything you want to add?
I mean, definitely, like when I saw that it was just 1 week, I was like, there's no way I can learn this much code or make this websites in just 1 week. But again,
Right.
you're not alone, you're in a group and you have mentors that are there to help you. And overall, as Sanjana said, that they let you explore through how to make things on your own. And I think overall you have a purpose, because most of the time that I used to do coding, it was because I was in this class and I was trying to get things to work. But now in this camp, I was trying to make things of my own with data that we in our
You care
group we
about.
all liked. And so it was just like seeing the result and seeing everyone's result, because we got to share about what we did in this 1 week. It was just very encouraging, and
Yeah.
like it made me kind of happy to see that what we all accomplished in this short amount of time.
Right. Were you amazed? Like looking back, you're like, whoa, we created that in a week. What was that? Like
Yeah, definitely,
astonishing.
because like to see how like all this work
Yeah.
and to be accomplished in like let's say 4 days, because we did for the final day we presented. It
Yeah.
was just like very amazing, honestly.
Right. Right. So here's a secret for you guys, right? That is for everyone, who's listening. Like school is created to cater for, massive amount of scale. It's very efficient doing that, but before the birth of the internet and we have so much resources online, that's pretty much the only option we have. Or maybe we go through the books a little bit, but that's not efficient. But think about the time that you are in right now. How many of you have cell phones? Like pretty much everyone has cell phones here, or or at least you have a computer, right? So that means you have free access of information 24/7, and it's well indexed. So which means that, here's a secret, right? That is, now is the time to go out and explore, to learn at your own pace. And if you can find people who are similar like you and learn together, that's where the power is, right? So which is why you can see, for example, like, we have this, like Michelle talked about the Discord community. Like we wanted to essentially making that community, even bigger and better. And here's one thing you probably don't even know. Like the top students, we hire them. And now they're actually building professional products while they're in high school. It's really wild. Yeah. Anyway, Andy, do you want to, like, is there anything you want to add, to what the ladies just said, or what I said,
Yeah, I definitely agree on how like it gives a new perspective on like what I can do. I haven't really done anything with it yet because I'm still focused on my main classes at school.
Yeah.
But once that's over, I'll definitely look into it.
Yeah. Awesome. And Andy, you're like sophomore, or which year are you?
I'm a junior right now.
You're junior. Okay. What about Ariana and Stjana?
I'm a junior too.
Junior. Okay. What about you, Stjana?
I'm also a junior.
What? We got 3 junior here? Okay, that's interesting. All right, cool. All right. So just to let you know, AI Camp is not just for juniors. Just make sure that's clear. All right. Okay. So we're going to continue this presentation. Okay. So can we actually first of all give a round of applause for Andy, Sanjana, and Ariana. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you. Okay, so a couple of things. AI Camp. So I'm gonna go pretty fast now. Okay, I'm gonna go pretty fast. So AI Summer Camp is fully online. So we have our coding center. I wouldn't say it's the best coding environment in the world, but it gets the job done. It's actually real time. So it's almost like Google Docs for coding. And people also talked about, this is like a small classroom kind of setting, right? 6 students per instructor. We're going to basically solve your problem on the spot, right? Very personal. Here are the batch choices, right? So we have June, July, and August, different batch choices. Again, this is 1 week, full time in the summer, PST or EST time available, and you have to scope time for this. Full time, not doing anything else in the meantime, because you just won't be able to handle it. All right, so the tuition is here. For anyone who attend this meeting, we're going to give $300 off, so almost like 1/3 of the price off. The regular is around $900. With scholarship is about $600. You can use this link to go in the book. So I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to send in the chat. Okay, I'm going to copy this and send in the chat. Feel free to do that right now, because what we're going to do right after this at 4 p.m., we will release this to about 10,000 people. And we only have around 100 or 200 spots. And the code can only be used for a few hundred times. So, like if you want to participate, take advantage of this right now. So today is the info session. As I said, 4 p.m. today, we will launch to a really wider audience. And finally, May 1st is the enrollment deadline. Okay. I would say if you want to prepare for the AI summer camp, making sure learning about Python as much as you possibly can right now is a very important step. It's a very easy step to take as well. So I would recommend go to learnpython.org. The whole thing is powered by DataCamp. It's really awesome. Just go through the basics. The second thing here, right, is making sure you have good equipment. So as you can see, AI Camp teaching is very interactive. So we're going to ask you, to speak, you will participate, you will be engaged. So making sure you have good Wi-Fi, a good laptop with a camera, that will do. Okay. And finally, right, bring this attitude, that is, be very curious, ask questions, participate. Right? That's all that is. After the 1 week, I would say, wait, what? The page is not found. Let me take a look. This is the page. So let me just send you the link again. Okay. After the 1 week, what we recommend is actually joining us for our 3-week program. So as our previous student talked about, the 1 week is almost like very intensive, very short. It's really building a dashboard, giving you this taste of how to make, like data dashboards, right, by Python. But in reality, if you want to create an AI product, you have to actually, come up with the idea, right? Not only gather the data, but really build a machine learning, like model, train that around it, and then deploy that to a website, right? Deploy that to a website. So that's going to take time, and that's going to take around 3 weeks. So if you have participated 1 week, I encourage you to think about the 3-week program. And one of the most important aspects, like why you should join that, is because then you can learn what it's like to become a product manager, what it's like to become a data scientist, what it's like to become a backend engineer. Remember we talked about collecting data to figure out what you're going to do in the future? This experience is one of the data set. Okay. Right. So here's a little bit comparison. 1 week is introductory. 3 weeks is very advanced, right? In terms of activity, 1 week is making a data dashboard. 3 weeks is making a full AI product. Price, they're different, reflecting roughly around 3 times, for the 3-week program. Okay. So before I go to team tomorrow, any question right now? So it's open to anyone who's 13 to 18. Yes, Andy. Yeah. So I think thank you for answering that question. I think there's another question. Please list the dates again. So if you wanted to know the dates, just go to ai-camp.org and you should be able to find all the dates. Okay. All right. Before I proceed, any other questions? It's all virtual. This is all online camp. Complete online. So you can join anywhere. Okay, I'm gonna move on. We're gonna have a QA later, okay? So this might be something very surprising to you. That is, we actually have hired 30 to 40 students working at various aspect at AI Camp. Whether, for example, this website right here, this website right here, like for example, this design, this implementation, this is all done by our students. And internally, we also have, so many tools, I can share with you on that. So for example, this is our Discord server. And you can see our Discord server, there are these kudos channel. So this is where, people are kudo each other for doing something wonderful that, help them to learn or help AI come to grow. And this, Discord bot here is also made by students. We also have some data reconciliation, tools or, people who are maintaining servers here. Remember, we have our own coding server, and, in order to maintain that and making sure this is, fully ready, for folks in the summer. By the way, these guys are managing like 50 plus servers. They're also done by students. We have automation and data team. And so this is where they essentially, push data, in front of people or, doing data reconciliation or even doing customer service. Hiring, these are the guys actually like go and look at, like various aspects of how to hire instructors, also done by students. Oh, here are people working for other companies. So what they are working on is working on automate healthcare. Healthcare is run by a whole set of different software. It's very, very hard, for the administrative cost is about 1/3 of the cost of healthcare. So if you can automate that, there's a huge amount of impact. So now they're using OCR, optical character recognition, to recognize different component software so that we can use software to automate software. Okay. Right. So that's why you can see, AI Camp is quite special in the sense that we essentially are here to provide real experiences and real skills to our students. And we think the way to do it is actually through actual work, through build something. Yeah. So we call those guys Team Tomorrow. Anyone like this logo? Do you like this logo? We haven't really launched it. Sajana, you like this logo? I think.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Looks cool. All right, cool, awesome. So we have a few people here I want to highlight. For example, Jackson Choice. He's a university student now, but he joined us when he was a junior. He's a full stack engineer. He has helped us like building all different aspects of AI Camp, whether it's like server management to an iPhone app. Right now, he's actually working full time at AI Camp. So he decided to, pause his school a little bit and join us and really work on this. But by the time he graduates from university, he's going to have, like 5 to 6, like professional experience. Yeah. So you think about how much that would be, doing for Jackson. We have Kai. So he's a junior at Los Altos High School. He's doing crypto development at AI Camp, essentially working in a Discord channel to help investors to see what kind of assets they should invest in the crypto space. So essentially providing tools for people to make decisions in using data. How do you join Team Tomorrow? So the reason why I want to mention this is because if you're a top performer in our camp, you're recommended by your instructor. We will basically take you in. We'll take a look, we'll interview, and we'll hire you. Okay. And so if you, for example, haven't been chosen, that's fine. Learn by doing many side projects. As I said, the world is your oyster if you know where to look at, right? And you have the tools and the resources on your hand right now to do that, okay? And finally, I want to emphasize that soft skills, like they really matter. And at AI Camp, we're looking at these these 3 attributes, plus 1 more. It's really communication, proactiveness, and reliability. Communication has also to do not just verbal communication, but written communication, organization, right? So they can communicate. But those are 3 we're looking at. Okay. So I want to say one thing, that you are contributing by building the future of education. I especially want to thank you, Andy, Ariana, Sajana, for you to be here to speak about your experience, as well as Michelle for making that video. What you're trying to do here what we're trying to do here is really building the future of education, and you're helping us, by doing so. So really appreciate that. Okay, as I said, I'm going to go this pretty quickly. So this is it, right? I'm going to try to answer all your questions. And just to remind you, today 4 p.m., check your email for the participation link, but I already sent the link here, so you can feel free to do that. And you have until May 1st to enroll, but I think our spots will be taken well before that. Okay. All right. So, okay. I want to thank you everyone for being here. Right now, I'm just going to take more questions. Let me know what kind of questions you have.
So for the enrollment of it, it's at the website, right?
Yep, that's the link I just sent in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah. And the list of time again. So as I said, you go to here, 1 week, scroll down, and all the batch choices and times here. I can share the presentation. Yes, that's easy. That's very easy. I can just do share. This is share. Oh, copy link. Here's the link. Okay. Right. So I can also answer any question you have, whether it's about learning AI, about programming, talk about my experiences. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, I can answer anything. Do you need a lot of coding experience? No, this is an introductory course. It's perfect for people who just get started. Okay. Andy, Ariana, Sajana, do you have any question for me? Anything I can be of help?
Is there like any way we can still like access the programs we made during the winter?
Yeah, there should be. Like your instructor should be able to like we can actually try to deploy for you. Yeah. Who are the instructors? Well, so the instructors, as I said, they are essentially we hired them, and they were coming from top university across the nation. Okay, he's gonna see any other questions. Anyone's curious why I have like toolbox here, or, Remember, there are no stupid questions at AI Camp, right? You can ask pretty much anything. Okay. All right. I guess I answered all the questions. Well, hopefully I see you in the summer. If I don't see you in the summer, make sure you continue to learn. You actually don't need us, right? There are internet out there. You can learn all these things on your own as well, right? At AI Camp, we'll just give you more structure, show you what we do, and you have a group of people coming together. Maybe that's the most benefit, okay? Can I email directly? Yes, you can. But okay, just ask me questions, man. It's fine. Okay, I really appreciate you guys here. See you in the summer. Bye for now.